You won't believe the truth behind the first 10 minutes of Up, a sequence that made the whole world cry and that hides the secret to the entire journey that unfolds. Prepare to discover how every encounter, every character, and every obstacle on Carl Fredricksen's journey was no accident, but a fundamental piece in a complex emotional puzzle. Hey clickers, subscribe with the bell activated. Comment with the content you want to see on the channel, share this video to help us grow, and leave your hype. It helps us out a ton. Up, released in the year 2009, introduced the world to the story of Carl Fredricksen, a retired and widowed balloon salesman. The film begins with one of the most celebrated montages in cinema history, narrating in just a few minutes the entire life of Carl alongside his beloved wife Ellie. From childhood, when they shared the dream of exploring Paradise Falls in South America, inspired by their hero, the explorer Charles F. Muntz, to adulthood, marriage, building their home, the sadness of not being able to have children, and finally, old age and Ellie's passing. This initial sequence is the cornerstone of the entire narrative, establishing the protagonist's deep motivation to fulfill the promise made to his wife to take their house to the place of their dreams. The main challenge for the central character arises when the city around him modernizes and his small wooden house becomes the sole obstacle to a large construction project. After an incident that leads him to be considered a public menace and sentenced to a retirement home, the elderly balloon salesman decides to take drastic action. On one memorable morning, he inflates thousands of balloons, which lift his house off the ground, turning it into a makeshift aircraft to begin his journey toward Paradise Falls. This act of rebellion and love kicks off the adventure, but the first unexpected encounter happens almost immediately. On board, unbeknownst to the house's pilot, was Russell, a young and determined wilderness explorer who was knocking on his door in the hope of earning his final badge for assisting the elderly. Russell's appearance represents the first deviation from the protagonist's solitary plan. He is the personification of life and persistence, a direct counterpoint to the widower's grief and isolation. Together, they face a strong storm and eventually reach their destination, but not without new encounters that would change the course of the story forever. As they explore the exotic landscape of the South American plateau, they come across Kevin, a giant, colorful, and rare bird, which Russell quickly adopts. Soon after, they find Doug, a golden retriever who is part of a pack and wears a special collar that allows him to verbalize his thoughts. Doug was sent on a mission by his master to capture the bird, but quickly grows fond of Carl and Russell. These appearances add a new level of responsibility and complication to the main character's journey, who now not only has to get his house to its destination, but also protect these new and innocent creatures. The climax of the encounters occurs when they finally find Doug's master, Charles F. Muntz himself, the explorer Carl and Ellie had idolized since childhood. However, the hero's appearance proves to be a great disappointment. Muntz, having lived for decades on his dirigible, the Spirit of Adventure, has become obsessed with capturing a specimen of Kevin to prove its existence to the world that discredited him. The explorer reveals himself to be a ruthless antagonist, willing to do anything to get the bird, seeing Carl, Russell, and their new friends as a direct threat to his plans. The plot's development focuses on the conflict between the newly formed group and Muntz's ambitions. Carl finds himself torn between his personal goal of fulfilling his promise to Ellie, symbolized by the house, and the moral duty to protect his new companions. At a crucial moment, Muntz captures Kevin and sets fire to part of Carl's house. The protagonist initially chooses to save the house and finally positions it next to Paradise Falls. However, while flipping through Ellie's adventure book, he discovers a message she left, thanking him for the adventure they lived together and encouraging him to start a new one. This revelation is the turning point. The main character understands that the adventure was not about a place, but about the life they shared and new experiences. He abandons the house, the material symbol of his past, to rescue his friends. The final battle takes place on Muntz's airship, resulting in the villain's defeat and Kevin's rescue. Carl, Russell, and Doug return to the city in the immense dirigible, taking control of the Spirit of Adventure. The conclusion shows Carl taking on a fatherly role for Russell, attending his wilderness explorer ceremony and giving him the Ellie badge, a grape soda bottle cap that Ellie gave him when they first met. The last scene reveals that the floating house landed exactly on top of Paradise Falls, fulfilling the promise in a way that honors both the past and the present. So, did you enjoy this deep dive into all the encounters and appearances in You? We want to hear your opinion. Which character or moment from this film stood out the most to you? Leave your comment down below, as your interaction is very important to us. Don't forget to leave a like to support our work, share this video with your friends who also love animation, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content. Your participation makes all the difference for us to continue bringing analyses like this one. Thanks!
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret.